Push for peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, what's being discussed, and the obstacles standing in the way of a deal. And big changes ahead for student loan borrowers, what the White House is planning for those in default.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Stephen Elmore. And going into the week, we're coming off, I guess, a little bit of both this weekend. We had a stormy day Saturday. Sunday, a lot of places was beautiful.
Yeah, it was definitely a mixed bag depending on where you were. Northwest Arkansas really wasn't bad this weekend. Across the River Valley, though, had a few warnings, some flooding as well. So good news is today, pretty nice out there. The one thing that we have to get past is that it's windy out there for this afternoon. Anywhere between 10 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts out there right now. I think by the time we get later on this afternoon, we can see those wind gusts anywhere close to 30 miles per hour. So again, good news is that it's warming up our afternoon highs. Daytime highs today right around those 80s for today, but we got to get past it being very windy throughout the rest of the day. Those thunderstorm chances return by the time we get through the next couple of days. Northwest Arkansas, by the time we get later on this afternoon to the evening, again topping out into those 80s, seeing lots of sunshine peak out there right now, but still lots of cloud coverage going to hang around the rest of the day today and even into this evening. By the time we get late tonight, that's where we could see maybe a few stray showers here and there across the River Valley. Lots of that cloud coverage out there right now, even though that sunshine is breaking through because of those strong winds. Daytime highs going to top out into those low to mid 80s for us today. Overall, pretty comfortable out there. So of course you've seen this floating around on your social media platforms, or even here we've been talking about it the past couple of days as well. That level 4 out of 5 risk further up towards the north. We're talking about parts of Iowa into Minnesota and Wisconsin. This is for today. Now we're included in this risk, but it's just that level 1 marginal risk by the time we get to the overnight hours. So this has been changed a little bit over the past hour or so. Still just that level 1 marginal risk, but including more of the River Valley and more of eastern Oklahoma as well. Northwest Arkansas. Again, the timeline for this would be closer towards anywhere between 9 p.m. and midnight. More than likely, if we do get a few of those strong storms, the only concern would be for the chances of some of those stronger winds. So Futurecast shows us this. We're going to build that cloud coverage in throughout the rest of this evening. By the time we get late tonight into tomorrow morning, that's where we could see maybe a few of these isolated thunderstorms moving through as well. Again, low end risk, really just looking at some overnight showers, but there is still a chance of some of those stronger storms out there. Those thunderstorm chances return for our Tuesday evening again, and by the time we get to Wednesday evening as well, we'll talk about that coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Stephen. Well, new at noon, Springdale Police Department is assisting in the arrests of homicide suspects. On Sunday, Springdale Police were notified that 2 people wanted for a homicide investigation were at a residence in Springdale. 18-year-old Chris Arnold from Camden was apprehended by a separate police agency. 18-year-old Keegan Turner, also from Camden, was also apprehended at that Springdale residence. Both Arnold and Turner are awaiting extradition to Camden. And a pivotal moment for peace talks to end the war in Ukraine. After their brief meeting at the Vatican Saturday, President Trump says he feels Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy is ready to make a deal, and he's criticizing Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now Russia says it will call a 3-day ceasefire in Ukraine next week. Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
After an intense one-on-one meeting at the Vatican, President Trump praised Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelenskyy and said the outlines of a peace deal are there.
Well, look, he wants to do something good for his country. Thinks he's doing a good job and he's working hard. We'll see what happens.
Trump and Zelenskyy have had a rocky few months.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards.
But now it's Russian President Vladimir Putin who Trump is criticizing after a series of deadly bombings on Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. It makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war. He's just tapping me along and has to be dealt with differently, Trump posted this weekend.
I was very disappointed that missiles were flying by Russia, but that missiles were flying. Very disappointing. We'll see how it goes.
President Trump screwed up. He let Putin play him for a fool.
Democrats argue Trump hasn't pressured Putin enough and has made major concessions to him before a deal is even done.
By attacking Zelenskyy and appeasing Putin, he gave Putin a huge wide-open door to walk through. And now President Trump is surprised that Vladimir Putin is continuing the war.
Trump told reporters he wants a deal to end the war in 2 weeks or less. But major questions about territory, security, and rebuilding remain.
Those last couple steps of this journey were always going to be the hardest ones, and it needs to happen soon. We cannot continue, as I said, to dedicate time and resources to this effort if it's not going to come to fruition.
Nancy Cordes, CBS News, the White House.
During their discussion in Rome, President Trump said Zelenskyy asked for more weapons. Trump was non-committal, saying that his administration was going to see what happens with respect to Russia first. President Trump has also announced changes to a federal holiday. He posted on his Truth Social site over the weekend that going forward, Columbus Day will no longer be designated as Indigenous Peoples Day. Since 2021, the Biden administration had recognized both holidays on the second Monday in October. Columbus Day has been celebrated nationally since 1934, when it was made a federal holiday by President Franklin Roosevelt. And some big changes are coming next month for student loan borrowers. The White House is expected to refer people with loans in default to credit agencies. The practice has been on pause since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Reporter Bryn Caswell has more on how the change is supposed to impact more than 5 million borrowers.
The Trump administration has made it loud and clear. There will be no mass loan forgiveness, and borrowers better start dishing out the dollars.
It is really upsetting to think that I have to take on a lot of debt to do what I want to do.
Worried is an understatement for Emma Schreiner.
I just got my FAFSA back for next year, and it's gonna give me $10,000 less dollars than I'm gonna need a semester.
She graduated undergrad debt-free, but now has to take out loans to start grad school in August.
The loans that I was offered, while it's not enough, they're unsubsidized, so I'm gonna have to start paying them while I'm in grad school.
While Schreiner isn't in default yet, over 5 million Americans are. And failure to make loan payments starting May 5th will result in withholding payments such as tax refunds and Social Security benefits. In response to the changes, U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon said in part, quote, "The executive branch does not have the constitutional authority to wipe debt away, nor do the loan balances simply disappear."
Everybody is struggling. Everything is more expensive right now.
Policy director with the Student Borrower Protection Center, Ayesa Conchola Banez, says borrowers have a right to affordable loan payback options.
So many folks with student loans are also the same families that are navigating the unprecedented economic uncertainty, rising costs of food and rent and childcare.
If in default, experts say do these 3 things. Contact the Default Resolution Group to make a monthly payment. Enroll in an income-driven repayment plan. This could put your payments in forbearance while the application processes. And sign up for loan rehabilitation to avoid garnished wages by the summer. Cedarville finance professor Jeff Guernsey says while the 5-year break was nice, this serves as a good reminder.
If they can stay out of debt, stay out of debt. If they have debt, get it paid back as quickly as they can, because, debt is kind of like an anchor in our personal finances.
For now, Schreiner hopes daunting debt doesn't crush her goals.
It's hard because I really want to be keep going after my dreams.
In other news, one person is dead, several others are hurt after a boat crashed into a ferry near Florida's Memorial Causeway Bridge. This happened Sunday night just before 9 o'clock. Authorities say the boat operator fled the scene, but has since been identified. The ferry was carrying 45 people, including 2 crew members, when the boat hit it from behind. 6 people were taken to trauma centers, 2 were airlifted. 10 ambulances and 2 helicopters responded to the scene. You can see that video there. 1 person later died from their injuries. Witnesses described a chaotic scene as first responders helped victims off the ferry.
I don't know, a lot of craziness happening all at once.
We just did our best to try to stay calm for the kids and the other families around us, and my husband actually went and helped other people that were on the boat with open wounds and things like that.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is leading that investigation. In other news, 9 days of mourning are underway for Pope Francis. Cardinals gathered in Rome's St. Mary Major Basilica on Sunday to pray Vespers and pay tribute to the late Pope's tomb. His coffin was taken there on Saturday after his funeral mass in St. Peter's Square. In Rome, preparations are now underway for the conclave that will choose the next pope. Cardinals under the age of 80 will be asked to choose Francis's successor in a secretive assembly. We now know that the conclave will begin on May 7th. And here's a look at some of the cardinals considered possible contenders to become pope. We'll be following updates once the process begins at the Vatican. We'll bring you updates once a new pope is elected right here on Channel 5. Well, April is Autism Awareness Month, and a program deemed by many as the best treatment solution has a waiting list. It's called the Arkansas Autism Waiver Program through the Arkansas Department of Human Services. It provides aggressive in-home therapy for children with severe autism. One parent said the 6-month waiting list could be improved through legislation. Fort Smith State Rep Lee Johnson's daughter is on the spectrum, and he says there are 2 legislative options. One, asking the DHS to expand the waiver program.
Another thing we could look at doing is trying to, mandate the DHS expands their coverage of kids in traditional Medicaid, right? Not on the waiver, and try to expand the therapy that's available to those kids to meet what's done in the waiver.
We contacted the Arkansas Department of Human Services, and they told us it's not currently working to expand the waiver program or add any new slots.